Welcome to another episode of Courageous Healing. I am the producer and co-host, Victor Escalante. Joining me today, as usual, is Adele George. Adele, how you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I am awesome. Happy Halloween day on the day that we are recording.
Yes.
Lots of creepy goblins out there. So today's topic, listeners, is right in line with the opening, is we live in very stressful times, days, weeks, what have you. And for victims of abuse who are extremely sensitive to people's vibes, to just the tension in the air, we wanted to equip you, give you some things to think about, maybe open up your mind to how you're being affected more so than you realize by what is going on and what you're consuming. So, Del, what can you tell us to get us started?
Well, I think this topic is important. And again, because you and I do tend to stay away from political specifics, but right now, it would be hard pressed for us to not acknowledge that, the tension in the air is very thick. And for people like myself and like you who have experienced trauma, this can be an uncomfortable time. It can remind you of experiences that you've had, the anger that other people are expressing from one side or the other. Just reading a social media argument can stir up uncomfortable emotions inside of you. So I thought it would be important for us to sit down and just talk about important self-care aspects and talk about things that you can do during this time. You can make yourself a list. Now's the time to make yourself a list before you get uncomfortable of things that you can do to either shift your energy, pull yourself away, and really kind of reground yourself or reset yourself in what's going on. Because when you have trauma and you're maybe diagnosed with PTSD, anxiety, or whatever the case might be, or you may not be, or you're undiagnosed, but you have something like this, it's easy to react to uncomfortable situations. And myself personally, I happen to get kind of caught up reading an argument back and forth, and that's why I referred to it on social media. And I started to and I was watching everything getting more and more aggressive in the exchange. And it started to make me uncomfortable. And it started to make me, my heart started racing, and I started kind of, like this is getting a little scary. And there was nothing scary about it. It's just an exchange on social media between two people that I'm not even interjecting myself in this. So I thought that just sitting down and us having a conversation about some self-care would be really important and help our listeners in navigating their healing process.
Sure. In preparation for today's episode, Adele, I was reading some information, and it was interesting that drinking coffee actually creates cortisol in your blood system.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're heavily caffeinated, that's going to make you more sensitive. So be careful of your intake of caffeine. That's one recommendation that the author made. Why don't you consider drinking something else, especially when you're having a hard day? Whether it's a green tea, what do you drink on stressful days, Del?
I think maybe making a concentrated effort to just, simply prepare your cup of tea and instead of putting in the microwave, putting the tea bag in, putting some sugar in it, and then sitting down and drinking it while you're at your desk or whatever. Maybe you go sit outside. Maybe you just take a step away from, things, put your phone down, things like that. So I think that a couple of keys here is to be deliberate. Be deliberate in whatever you're going to do in this moment, to be in self-care. Secondly is to, there's no harm in isolating yourself from social media. from, television, watching television news, taking in the news and taking in things that can be upsetting. If you see an argument and you start reading the back and forth, close it out. Stop, be intentional when you start to realize that you start to get uncomfortable feelings. But there's some other things that you can do. I mean, you can take a walk. You can just go sit outside for a few minutes. You can write in your journal. You can just close your eyes and put your feet on the ground and get some mindfulness and just, take a few deep breaths in. There's a ton of meditations on YouTube. You
Yes,
can
sir.
find meditations everywhere. So I think that, that would be fun. You know what? Sit down and plan a vacation, or plan some time with friends. Distract yourself in a way where you're not just sitting in a room and you're just like, okay, I had to close all of this. Now what? Because my head's still spinning and I'm still feeling anxious. And really, just realizing that um this isn't about you in that sense.
Yeah.
This isn't your trauma. This is a memory of a reaction from the trauma. So your body is reacting to the things and the intense feelings that are going on around you that have nothing to do with you.
Yeah, let me interject myself into this, Adele. I can comment about what's actually going on in your mind. As you heard me before in other episodes, we have mirror receptors. Mirror receptors are those neurons that actually light up when there is being triggered, you attune to, or there is something that creates an emotional memory, an emotional response that your brain is lit up. So it can work both ways, both in relaxing as well as in inducing feelings of stress. When you were talking about making a cup of tea, Adele, what happens is you're triggering old memories, maybe from when you were a child, and your parents went through the routine of putting water in a tea kettle and boiling it, and the whole experience triggers pleasant memories from your past that you actually go into a light trance as a result of the routine. So when you're highly stressed out, you're in a trance state that is induced again by the environment that you're in, by what you're consuming, what you're viewing, what you're feeling, what you're thinking. And this is where you have to pay close attention to that. And the suggestions that you just gave our listeners, Adele, are right on point, because what you're doing is you're breaking the trance. You're breaking the trance. We cannot escape trance, listeners. We go from trance state to trance state. And if you want to learn more about that, there's an excellent book from one of my instructors called Trances People Live by Stephen Walensky. I'm going to put a link in the show notes so you can check it out. And he's a famous psychologist, and he, in the book, is for lay people to understand the trances that you live, so that you can do things deliberately to alter that trance state. So, Adele, you're right on point with what you've told our listeners. The other thing that came to mind is you deliberately shifting your trance state to a relaxed one by using essential oils. If you put a couple drops of peppermint or jasmine, rub it in your palms, breathe it in. That activates a certain part of your brain that it's called the parasympathetic nervous system, that sends signals to your brain to calm down. The sympathetic nervous system is what goes on high alert, as though something bad is going to harm you, and the parasympathetic nervous system brings the temperature down.
Mhm.
So, what else can you tell us, Adele?
Well, the other thing I think, to your point, is that even doing something deliberately, like using the essential oils, taking some mindful breaths in, breathing in and then, blowing out, that type of thing. Those things can also create new memories and new sensations. So if it's not something you've done before and it's not something you've experienced before, it may take you a few tries in order to regulate or, bring your nervous system down, but you can go back and you can use these techniques over and over again once you see which ones respond well. And so, I think some other things that could be important is, depending on, journal, find a hobby,
Yes.
something that, like I have over here, I have a paint by numbers.
Yeah.
Um, I haven't started it yet, but I have it. I love puzzles.
Manually journaling, Adele, involves motor skills, okay, and that also, again, you're altering your trance state because you're activating a different part of your brain that, again, normally you don't access because how many people do you know nowadays that write manuscript?
Right.
So by you deliberately pulling out a notepad and just journaling, write your feelings, write what you're going through, write your thoughts. And what's important about journaling, I highly recommend it to clients, is the next day go back and look at your thoughts, because what you're doing is you're doing a brain dump by clearing your mind, and you'll be amazed as well as laugh at some of the stuff that comes out of your mind.
Yeah. The other thing too is to occupy yourself. Get a puzzle.
Yes.
Puzzles are in similar ways to journaling. You can get a puzzle at a dollar store after or Walmart. You don't have
Yeah.
to buy a $50 puzzle. 1,000. I recommend that you stick to 500 pieces or less. A
Okay.
thousand pieces can kind of drive you crazy. But the other thing is go spend some time with somebody. All of what we talked about up to now is things that you've done alone. Don't
Yes.
forget to lean on your friends, to lean on your therapist, to lean on the people that are close to you who can help you through this and can put their hand on your heart and say it's okay to calm down, give you a hug, go get some hugs somewhere, and I would the thing that I would probably stay away from, and this is mostly talking from my own perspective because of what I do, but I would stay away from intense things,
Yeah.
intense movies, things that, maybe could cause you a little bit more, that could trigger you a little bit more rather than bringing you down, bringing you and calming you down. Find funny stuff to watch on TV, funny movies, I think are really great to make some plans with some friends, go to dinner with some friends, just, and when other people start to talk about whatever is the tension in the air, such as, our current elections and things like this, stop them and say, I need to set some boundaries. This is upsetting to me. And I actually want to sit here and I want to discuss, let's talk about fun stuff. Let's plan a vacation. Let's do something else and shift the conversation. You have every right to request, shift the conversation.
Yeah.
You
Absolutely.
know,
You and I, by the nature of our work, consume a lot of news, Adele. I probably consume easily an hour and a half to 2 hours of news in the morning, and I have to draw a line between what is news and what I call political porn.
Mhm.
Political porn is where it's completely useless. Okay, it's just opinion, and again, you'll never run out of opinion, and it's not true. It's just someone's opinion that is designed as clickbait to get you to click on the story so that they make a percentage of a cent per that click. And so again, you have to be very mindful and put a limit on what you consume
Mhm.
between what is necessary, need to know information, and what is total just useless noise that the noisemakers are engaging you to listen to their noise.
Yeah. And I think that get really clear on your boundaries,
Yes.
really clear on that. And, there's other things too. Put your favorite music on, put your earbuds in or your headphones on, put your favorite music on. Maybe listen to some new music, something that you haven't listened to before. I think like even if go buy a weighted blanket, everybody loves these weighted blankets today. Spend some time, take your pet for a walk if you have a dog. A lot of us have dogs these days. Take them to the park, take them somewhere. Don't, and again, I want to remind you, you don't necessarily have to isolate yourself from everybody else, but just make sure that the people that you're around are either like-minded or know that you're stressed out because of the current times and will make an effort to help you stay comfortable. While I don't really, I don't really know whether it's appropriate to say or not, but I would definitely consider staying away from alcohol and even, some drug usage, just simply non-prescribed drug usage.
Yeah.
Because alcohol and things like that can heighten sensitivities as opposed to relaxing those sensitivities.
They also blur your decision making process, and you end up making decisions that again are not in your best interest. This is about all decks on board, taking care of yourself, listeners.
Yes.
You got to put yourself first. You're listening to Courageous Healing Podcast. We'll be right back.
Looking for the perfect soundtrack to bring your project to life? Meet Roy D. Haston, an experienced composer who creates captivating music for films, commercials, and live events. From emotional scores to upbeat, energetic tracks, Roy's compositions add depth and emotion to every story. His unique soundscapes elevate your project and leave a lasting impression. Visit roydhaston.com and discover how Roy's music can transform your next project into something unforgettable. And thank you, Roy, for your original music for our Courageous Healing podcast.
We now return you to the Courageous Healing Podcast.
But take your medicine. You have anti-anxiety medications, or you have something that helps you calm your nerves. Take your medicine. I will say that. I'm just saying, be careful of partaking in recreational stuff. And because in these types of situations, you can do it in excess. Now, if you're around friends and you're having a good time and you know that your friends are there and they can help monitor you, then that's great. But I mean, first things first is make sure you're taking your prescribed medication as normal. Other simple things: hydrate, eat, don't allow yourself to starve, because that also causes uncomfortable feelings, and we all know how we feel. People get hangry when they need to eat.
Yes.
So, do the simple daily things. Take a bath, take a hot shower.
About the bath, Adele, I found out that if you take a bath in salts, like Epsom salts, it actually, we've known that it reduces inflammation, right? And your body can develop aches and pains from the inflammation, from, again, the stress that it's feeling. Right. So take a bath and take a soak in Epsom salt, because it's great for your health. And it's going to also, another benefit is that it's going to activate, again, your parasympathetic nervous system. You know what I found out that was also fascinating is if you wear nylon clothes, that actually triggers a part of your body that makes you susceptible to stress. So undergarments that are made out of nylon, stay away from that. Go with cotton and natural fibers, because again, you want to help your body during these stressful days.
And that's a great point. Wear your comfortable clothes. Obviously, if you're at work, you might have a dress code, but, put on your clothes, your favorite pair of pajamas, or your favorite, whatever, your sweats, whatever you love to wear, that when you put it on, you instantaneously feel comfortable. Cook your favorite foods. Eat your favorite foods. Take a 10-minute break from what you're doing. And when I'm telling you, set a timer. And if you're feeling stressed and you need to take a minute, take a 10-minute breather. Sometimes it's just that simple to help your nervous system just ground itself. I find that even for me, just sitting at my desk, just kind of pushing myself back away from my desk, my feet are firmly planted on the ground, and just deeply inhaling and exhaling 2 or 3 times, just letting everything settle, letting everything clear helps me. And then I can get up from my desk. I go sit outside for a little while and in 5 to 10 minutes, and you can feel your system change. And if you can, put your feet in the grass, because there's known as grounding, where if you can get yourself to some grass and some dirt, where you can kind of get in there and let yourself exchange some energy with the earth. So
There's a lot, hundreds of nerves on the palm of your feet
Mhm.
that are directly connected to the brain. So it's like acupressure. When you walk, it's going to stimulate and it's going to reduce the tension in your nervous system.
Right, right. I mean, read a book, you know,
Yep.
any book, any book. Again, when there's times that are high in tension, I personally will stay away from anything that's intense, just because I want to keep myself relaxed. Because I find that when I listen to things or when I consume things that are intense, it amps me up rather than relaxing me. But if
Sure.
true crime podcasts are your thing, then go lock yourself up in a hot bath and put some true crime with some Epsom salts and a true crime podcast and just
There you
relax.
go.
You
There
know,
you go.
we want you. The goal is to is to give you some ideas, but for you to come up with your own ideas to be able to easily navigate tender, what I call tender times, because it's tender to you. It's bringing up emotions and feelings that are being triggered by past events, so that you've experienced in your life. So you just, and the more that you do this and the more that you learn how to do this and you find it, then you're going to find over time how you can easily navigate shifting your energy and shifting yourself out of this fight or flight mode into a more comfortable, relaxed place.
There's the third response, Adele. There's the fight, flight, or freeze response. Okay, sometimes when people freeze, they stop breathing, and that also escalates the tension, guys. So if a lot of people don't realize that they stop breathing when their nervous system is on high alert. I've seen this with clients in my office when I'm debriefing them. I'll ask them to breathe because I see that they stop breathing because it's an unconscious mechanism that they don't realize that that's what they're doing.
Right, exactly. What about going someplace like a bookstore or a library? Just wandering
That's
around.
one of my favorites. Yeah.
Yeah. Go find some place, go sit at a park, change your scenery, change something.
Be
Yeah.
proactive. Be proactive. Take it upon yourself. And remember, friends, no one is going to take better care of you than you.
Exactly. Exactly. And be clear, it's a time and a moment where you might want to take 20 to 30 minutes to sit down and really think about this and be clear on what your boundaries are. When I'm around people who have different views than me, I will say, and they try to engage in a conversation, instead of engaging in a conversation that I know that can either make me feel uncomfortable and I know that can trigger them, I say, this is not a conversation we should have. My views are different from yours, and I think that this is not a good idea. Why don't we talk about something else? Put your foot down. You have every right to say, I don't want to talk about this stuff. I don't want to talk about it with you because it's going to turn into an argument. So, and I think just take in something funny, something sweet. YouTube is a plethora of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Watch a kids show, watch SpongeBob, watch something that is completely gonna take you out of where you are. Think of it as lifting yourself out of this situation and putting yourself here. What
Yeah.
can you get from point A to point B? And simply by shifting, again, shifting your energy. But and this is something that Victor and I are going to continue to talk about, and we're going to continue to hit on as we continue to record these podcasts, because we're going to encourage you and we really want you to get strong in taking self-care. So as there are more, we discover more self-care techniques, we're definitely going to bring them to you. But don't overlook the major things like eating, taking your medication, talking to your therapist, spending time with your friends and family that are supportive of you and could potentially understand where your uncomfortableness as of right now, and they can they'll totally distract you with something.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Adele, you have a parent that is stress inducing. How do you deal with him specifically when he wants to talk politics and you know that it's going to stress you out? How do you handle that?
I've set a boundary, and I just said we don't agree, and I don't want to talk about it.
Okay, as simple as that, right?
Yeah, I just set a boundary, and then it stops, and no one's mad.
Yeah,
No one has their feelings hurt. I just acknowledge that we don't agree, and that we don't talk about it. And I don't want to talk about it. You have to be
yeah,
very clear. I don't want to talk about this. I'm tired of talking about this.
yeah,
Whatever your decisions are on political things, yours and yours alone. That's
exactly.
your opinion, who you choose to vote for, and those things are yours and yours alone. Victor and I are not here to advocate for any one particular thing. Where we're concerned with legislation and politics has to do with what is going on with sexual assault, rape, domestic violence, and things like that, because we want to make sure that legislation supports the efforts to protect people. But that has nothing to do with particular politicians. So,
Absolutely.
that's where we're just paying attention to what's going on. So I really feel like there's so many different ways that you can do this. Put some music on and dance with your significant other in the kitchen while you're cooking dinner. Cook your favorite foods, bake some cookies.
Yeah.
There's so many little. It doesn't have to be complicated, but whatever it is that you do, just put some effort and consideration into it, and treat it with kindness and treat it with love, because that's going to help shift your energy as well. So, but again, if this is your first time dealing with having your nervous system react and you really want to try to bring it down, just know that it may take longer than a couple of deep breaths. It may take a couple of tea. It may take 5 or 6 things before you actually start to feel better, where you wind up in a hot bath with Epsom salts. Just know that you
Yeah.
got to try. So make a list of things that you enjoy, and just have them handy. And if you try to read and you're too distracted to read, try an audiobook. If that doesn't work, try music. Just keep trying things, because as you're trying these things, you're eventually going to find one that's going to hit the right button.
I'm going to put a link in the show notes, Adele, to where people can listen on the cloud to a meditation that I personally recorded it years ago in a studio. It's professor recorded, and it's about 34 minutes long, but most people fall asleep around midway point because it's a guided meditation to where you will go into delta dream state, where rapid eye movement happens, and that's where your brain processes a lot of information. So there's
Mhm.
4 different types of brain waves. There is beta, which is the stress state, the conscious stress state. There's alpha. That's where the alpha brain waves is when we're listening to soft music in the background. A lot of your classical music is the beats to the music correspond to your heart. That's why you begin to relax. And also drinking wine, listening to music, uh, uh, controlling the lighting in the room. Again, all of those things put your brain into alpha brainwave. It's also the brainwave for learning. If you're ever cramming for a test, that's what you need to do. Is you need to go into alpha brainwave state. And there's also YouTube. There is different videos that have the beats timed to that, which again corresponds to the heart. The next one is theta. That's where you're not asleep, but you're not totally awake. That's where you're dozing in and out. You know how when you're falling asleep, it's like you're not totally asleep, but you're not totally awake. That's the semi dream state. And then there's delta, where you're totally asleep. You're in deep dream state. So the meditation that I'm going to put is going to start you where you are and take you into delta brainwave. And let us know how you responded, what your strategies are in our Facebook group, Courageous Healing. You can also write to us at courageoushealing2024@gmail.com. Let me give that to you again. Courageous Healing, all spelled out, 2024@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. And if you have a story to tell, we'd love to have you as a guest on the podcast. Adele,
Absolutely.
any final words?
Yeah, I would love for you guys to comment below on our post, either on the podcast post or on Facebook or on our social media, or even email, to tell us how you do self-care. So, because I think it's important that we share what we like and what we enjoy and what brings us a little bit of joy. I've even heard, Victor, one last thing. I've even heard that if you smile for a minute, if you
Yes.
pull smile for a minute, it will change your energy and you will go from being frustrated to happy.
You have hundreds of muscles, micro muscles in the face. And when you smile, not only are you activating a certain part of the brain, but you're also tightening and loosening the muscles that you need to in order to alter your state of mind.
So,
Yes.
listeners, I really hope that we've just given you even one idea in order to take care of yourself during times like this and when things like this, when these tensions inside of you come up. We really want you to be on your path to healing. But you have to know it's a deliberate effort. You have to make the effort and you have to take the steps. So when you start to feel uncomfortable and you start to notice these things, check in with yourself. See where this is coming from. See what's causing it. And if you're getting it because you're reading an argument on social media or you've seen a post that makes you very uncomfortable or something, then it's time to shut it off. If you really want to go too extreme, delete those social media apps for at least a little while. And that way you're not logging into them. You're not looking at them. Delete the apps that are causing you the stress and step
Absolutely.
away from them. Take a break. There's nothing wrong with, I think like people call it a social media detox.
Yes.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Or if you see somebody that posts something that you don't like, unfollow, unfriend, delete, whatever, you can still let go of these things that cause you so that you can create your environment of peace because it's okay.
This is your bubble. This is your life. And
Yeah.
you have every right for you to control what gets into your bubble. And
Yeah.
I'm like you, Adele. It's like I unfollow anyone that is putting comments that I find untasteful. It's like I don't want to see that. I don't
Yeah.
want to see it. I don't want to read it. I want nothing to do with it.
Right. Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. So, we wish you luck. If you need some more advice, listen to this. I know we dumped a bunch of things in here. Comment
Yeah.
below. We'd love to help you in any way we can.
And if you have suggestions for future episodes, believe us, it's like we'll never run out of things to talk about. So we will accommodate your wishes. So write to us, courageoushealing2024@gmail.com. Till next time, go out and have a great week.
Bye, guys.